Yeah, hello all. Good evening. Welcome to the session. So, can you guys hear me? Please do confirm in the chat. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Vinod, for confirmation. So let's wait for a couple of more minutes and we will start the session. So today's agenda would be we'll be seeing how the booting procedure works, and we will install for the lab sessions. Like both the ways, we will be doing that. Okay. So yeah. Yeah, Olale. So if do you want me to unmute you? Just a second. Yeah, you can ask any doubt if you have.
Morning, sir.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. Good day. Tell me. So you did
Yes, sir.
downloaded the okay.
Yeah,
So
I
8.8
did,
rel.
but
That is
I
fine.
can't run it. I can't run it. I can't run it. I downloaded this, but I can't. You know where sometimes when you click run and it runs and it show you the platform, but it's not. I can't do. It's not allowing me to do that. So I don't know if I downloaded the wrong one or maybe something is not
We
right.
will see that. Yeah. So we will see that. Olale. So don't worry. So once I done with the booting procedure, we'll see what is the issue in your end. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, I hope you connected from the laptop now. Uh,
Yeah, I did on the laptop. Yeah.
okay, great, great. So yeah, at the end, you can share your screen and we can fix the issue, right? So
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So let me start the session. And yeah, once again, welcome to the session. So today is the day 2 of the demo sessions, and so these are all the so you can scan this like QR code to join the sessions, and you can share it with among your friends as well, right? So and yeah, so these are all the general info, by the way. So yeah, so in this sessions, it is first 3 sessions. It will be for free, and fourth session it will be for only for the paid candidates, and all the sessions will be available in the like Logic Labs Graphy site. Okay, and please do note this one. The support team will be only available during Monday to Saturday between like 9 to 7 p.m. IST, right? So and these are all the contact links. contact details, and this is the email ID. So please do reach out to them if you are stuck with like a payment issue or any issue, like if you can't see the recording, anything related to the portal, you can reach out to them. And anything like issue with your, like if you're having any installation issue or like in your lab, so please do reach out to me. So my mail ID also, it will be at the last. Okay, so I'll be, it is there. So in today's session, as I told that we will be seeing the booting procedure. So why booting procedure is very important, at least for a sysadmin, right? So you must know what is happening from the time you press the power button, what is happening behind the scenes. Why? Because as a sysadmin, you will be in a position like, uh, like uh, let's say it is a non-commercial system, or in your personal computer. Let's say you take your laptop as an example. So you're stuck with something, right? So, or you made a system change which is not compatible, and once you reboot, you can't boot to the or it won't come to the lock screen or your home screen, right? So what went wrong? So you should be in a position to diagnose that. So what are all the measures you will take, and why it was stopped or what went wrong? So you need to understand that. So there are many steps, especially this. These steps are not only for Linux. So this all the steps except few, it will be the same thing applicable for your Windows as well, and for any operating system, even your like a 30 years old computer also follows the same. During your MS DOS, those times also it would be the same. And even a modern system or like your Raspberry Pi also has the same thing. So the procedure is same. Only few components it would be differing, right? So we will see one by one. And yeah, so for that, let me open the page. Again, this is not for your exam point of view. So this is for your understanding what is happening behind the scenes. Okay. So first thing, you will turn on your system, right? So once you click the power button, the step it will have is like your post. So what is a post? It is power on self test. So why does it, or why the system need to do that is everything is a hardware, right? So it need to make sure that whether the monitor is bootable or your memory is having some issue. So if there is any issue, it will be, it won't turn on that component especially. So you need to diagnose that, right? So that's the thing. So let me show you a pic of a motherboard. Okay, so this is a typical motherboard. So let me open this image. Yeah, right? So these are all the components in your motherboard. So this is where your RAM slot will be connected. This is where your CPU and your GPU will be connected here. And under the shield, your SSD will be connected, right? So it will send a small current to every component to check and make sure that okay, everything receives the power, right? So if there is any power issue or if there is any loose connection, right away you will receive this. So you see here, right? So this three like debug lights. So that if something went wrong with the CPU, it will, this will go to an amber light, right? So that is the thing. And you, for some other boards, you will even have error codes. So you can even Google the error codes and resolve that issue, right? So these are all for hardware level. And the next thing is, so once you like everything is fine and the system is booting, the first thing it will boot is your BIOS. So what is BIOS? BIOS is nothing but basic input output system. So that is where your hardware and your hardware info will be how to say, you can see your hardware info, right? So BIOS, MSI. Let me go. So why I'm taking MSI is that is the system I own. So that's one. And it is a good one actually, right? So this is the BIOS. So, like, why we need a BIOS in the first place, right? So, the system need to know, or even you can identify what are all the components connected to your system, right? So, for that, as well as like even your hardware. So you can see here, right? Fan info and much more. So your all your hardware info, you can see it here, right? So that's the thing. So yeah, and you can do overclocking here. So what is a overclock is to make your system perform to its maximum, right? So in this case, that also depends on your at what rate you bought your CPU and whether that is applicable. So overclocking is enabled for that particular CPU and your memory. So everything should be considered, and you can see here, right? So all your temperature stats also will be available here. Okay. And the next one is your, the very important one is your boot priority. So this is the next step, which is BIOS. And the very important thing in your BIOS is your boot priority. So what is boot priority now? Right? So you have your hard disk and your CD drive. And let's say you have an external uh, pen drive or so, right? So that one. So any bootable disks will be available here. Okay, so why? Because so that order will be followed throughout your system. So uh, obviously after booting to your system, again you can boot to that device or storage device, but still which one should be booted first? So that is the boot priority. Okay, so boot order you can call it as, and here it is called as boot priority list. So here this one is your hard disk, by the way, and your CD drive, and all your USB drives are here. Okay, so you will put hard disk here. So HDD is your hard disk, and CD drive. And the last one is your removable disk. Okay, so once you so you selected, or in the boot priority, you this would be the by default. It would be in hard disk, right? So once you booted to the hard disk, what would be your next thing? Next thing is your MBR. So this is where you have two partition styles. It is called as so. So now is where we will be seeing the disk management. So this is the first thing in your disk management. Once you connect your disk, so actually you won't be noticing or you won't do anything in this way, but there are two disk management, sorry, partition styles, by the way. So you see here, partition style. So in your Windows, or mostly there are only two actually. So one is MBR and another one is GPT. So MBR is master boot record and GPT is GUID partition table. Okay, so what is the difference between both? So now we need to see how a hard disk works. Okay, so I'm not going into too much detail. If I go so, it would take a whole day because each and every components are a separate topic, right? So I'm just giving an overview that okay, this is what happens, right? So that's the thing, and it must be either of these two, so MBR or GPT. So if you ever like even in your what is that in your Windows, so if you ever changed your own like with your Windows ISO, you might have known this one. So you would have asked while formatting, you would have seen this option MBR or GPT. Okay, so yeah. So now let me show you the hard disk. So hard disk with sectors. Yeah. So this is how your typical hard disk would look like. So let me show you a sector. Yeah, this itself is fine. So there will be many sectors where your hard disk would like again it depends on your hard disk size. So let's take an example of 1 TB hard disk. So then the count of sectors would differ. So it depends on your size and which approach it is taking. So that's what the difference between MBR and GP. So how much sector should be allocated for each like sorry, how much size should be allocated for each sector and how many count of sectors can be formed for 1 TB. So like that. Okay, and much more, but this is the basic thing which should differentiate both MBR and GPT. And the easiest way is mostly your MBR will be preferred for your Linux machine. GPT is for your Windows machine. Okay, so that's the yeah. So now you so why MBR is so you see here the first sector or the master sector. So here the disk, so I'm just giving a hard disk example. So in your SSD, everything will be changed. Why? Because there is no disk platter or this concept itself won't be applicable for an SSD. But there will be a thing called as metadata hit. Okay, so the concept itself is different. But here, so let me give a hard disk example so that it will be easy for you to understand. But the sector concept is the same for your SSD, hard disk, or any mode of storage. Okay. So the first thing is it need to identify the first sector. So as I told, it is sectors are nothing but you just let's say this is your disk. So this will make a sector. Okay. So let's say yeah. So this first thing would become a sector. Okay. So this one. Uh, right. So this would be a first sector. Like that, you have multiple sectors. So why first sector is important is so that is where your next step will be or the component which it stores is your grub. So what is grub now? So grub full form is Grand Unified Bootloader. So the same concept is like for your even your Android device also it is the same. So you will have a thing called as grub. And what is a grub now? So that is a very important screen and it would be there in every system, right? So grub screen. So you might have even seen in your screen, like while you booted your system now. So you might have seen if you ever installed any other operating system on the same machine. So in this case, so let me show you. Yeah, even this itself is fine. So you see here, Ubuntu and your Windows. So both are installed in the same path or your same disk. So if you've done so, uh, you will encounter or you must go through this grub screen. So why we need to do that, right? So you need to select which operating system need to be booted so that so why? Because each operating system has its own drivers as well as its own device information and much more. So everything will be a different like both are drastically different, right? So your Ubuntu, how it is approached, and in your RHEL as well as your Windows. So all will be in a different, like your drivers, like almost everything would be a different thing. Sorry, different, right? So that is the thing. And and you can create triple boot also, right? So it's your call, but yeah. So you see here. Windows 7, Windows 11, sorry, Windows 10, 7, and Ubuntu is here, right? So that is your grub screen. So this is where you will select that one, which one to be booted next. And even, okay, you might ask, okay, if I have another operating system, then only I need to, like, I would encounter this grub screen, right? So obviously not. Even if you have a single operating system also, you must go through this one. So no other choice. So this would be your team blue, your Windows and your Linux. Okay. So this is your Windows 11 and you have Red 8 or something. So you need to choose which one to be booted. So let's select this one. So once you selected this one, the next thing is a very, very important file. So which is your kernel. So what is kernel, by the way? So kernel is the first software or first process which will be running in your system. Okay, and why that is important is, let's say if there is something went wrong in the kernel, so your system can't identify, or it would be going to a hung state, right? So it is that important, and if it is stuck here, it would be here itself, so you can't proceed further with the booting procedure. So that is like, let's say you are having a corrupted kernel, or something messed up in your hardware level, or if it is booted to this level and something went wrong while it is booted, right? So many issues can be considered, like when it comes to your booting procedure. So you should be in a position to diagnose each and everything, right? So that is the thing, and kernel is where most issues can be easily found out and easily resolved as well. So this is where your drivers. So what is drivers now? So drivers are the kind of a middleman which will combine the required software for the particular hardware. So what does that mean? So let's say I have a Bluetooth adapter in my laptop, but without this Bluetooth driver, I can't, or the system, the Windows 11 can't communicate with the Bluetooth adapter, physical adapter, right? So this acts as a middleman. So that those are all called as drivers, by the way. So even in your display driver. So in my case, I have like, this is my graphics card. So without this, like, it won't work. Obviously, it will go to a Intel default graphics, or in my case, it is a AMD system, right? So AMD default graphics it will go. But the point here is the drivers are very, very important, especially okay in any operating system. So those are all the things it will be loaded here, and your hard disk, or your disk information. So what are all the disk attached to your system, and your important services will be loaded. So this is where your system services will be loaded. So now let me go to your task manager, and if you scroll down, so this background process, so these are also fine. But if you scroll a little bit down, you see here Windows processes. So these are all the process which will, or you won't usually, how to say, you won't end task any of this process, or you don't even have a control of these processes, right? So this must be running no matter what. And yeah, so these are all the process which will be initiated or started along with the operating system. So this is where, so along with your kernel especially, okay, and much more you can do with your kernel. Okay, so and the very important process it will start is your system D. System D. So that is the first process, and the process ID itself is 1. Okay, so that's the thing. and after that it will be routing to init. So what is init process? Okay, so that is again an important one. And this screen, but it won't be the same option, but you might have seen some of this option in your Windows. So what are all that is? If you go to your start and type system config. So if you see here, and go to boot, you see here an option called a safe boot, right? So, and you see here no GUI boot. So if you select this checkbox and reboot your system, there won't be a GUI in your Windows 11 as well. It would be just your command prompt. So only this will it. That's it. This would be your screen, just like the old days, right? So that is your system config. So the same options you have in your init process or init options also you can call it as. So what are all the different options you have? So from 0 to 6. So each options has its own like use cases, right? So let's see one by one. Let me uncheck these two. And you see here even much more are there. So you see like a network. So if I didn't selected this one, the network driver won't be loaded. So that you, if you unselected or if you selected minimal here, and once you booted to that system, this network adapter itself won't be there. So without this driver network, you can't connect to any network, right? So that is the thing. So this is for the Windows. So in your Linux, you have these many options. 6 options are there. So let's see one by one. So, and the both init and run level both are almost same. Okay, so first 0. So what is init 0? It is nothing but your shutdown. So if you want to shut down your system, if you type init 0, it will shut down the services and everything, and your server will be shut down, right? So the next one is your single user mode. So what is a single user mode, right? So single user mode in the sense, so only, let's say, let me open this VMware. So if I have a VM, so I will be the one, like I will be the only person having access to this screen, or this is called as a console view, by the way. So anyhow, I will show you what is that view. So like this mode mostly used for your emergency mode. So in that mode, so since Linux is a multi-user option is there. So the next mode itself is a multi-user. So multi-user in the sense, the same user, you can open multiple sessions, right? So sessions are like, let's say your remote session, you can open thousands of session also, the same user. So there won't be any issue. And that is a major feature in your Linux, by the way. But in this mode, if you select init 1 or your system is defaulted to init 1, only one user, and like if you are having access to that console, you will be the only one can operate that machine, right? So that is your init 1. And init 2, you see here multi-user without networking. The same thing, multi-user without network. And the third one is the same thing, multi-user with network. So now you would think that okay, the third option only will be, so most cases number 3 and 4 nothing is there actually. So 4 you can skip. So fifth option is called as X11. So third and fifth are the most used one. So yeah. So you even have GUI in your Linux as well, right? So and we will be using GUI also. We will install that. So that's what it will be, either init 5 or init 3 by default. And yeah, sorry, 6 is for reboot. Okay, so these are all the different stage, and you can define each and everything in this path. So now what is path, you might ask? So those things we will see in the next session anyhow. What is file system and what are all the paths in your system. So yeah, but this is the init options. Right. So why I told this one and the next run level is almost same is, so run level. So what is a run level now? Let me give again a Windows example so that easily you can correlate. So if you see here the startup apps. So this startup apps is what, like it will be booting along with your system or along with your like your operating system, right? So that's what the same thing goes for your run level. So whatever application or any script you are defining in that run level path, or you are defining in the slash etc init.d, there is another path init.d. So this is a system path, by the way, and these are all your so each run level there is a separate path, and dot d is nothing but your directory, right? So if you're defining some path, let's say hey, health check script dot sh, let's say. So if you are defining here, so this script, once the session is open, every time this script will be running, right? So that is what this run level means. And by default, there would be a run level for any system. And in this case, mostly it will be for run level 3 and 5. And run level 4, obviously there is no run level 4. Why? Because there is no 4. 4 is unused, right? So you can ignore that. Remaining every number, it is there. So that's what. You can even read this one, right? So depending on your default init level settings, the system will execute the programs from one of these directories. So which run level you selected, that one it will be booting. So yeah. So with that, your booting procedure will be completed. So I'm just giving a basic overview how your booting procedure would look like. And this is what happens once you press the power button till you see the lock screen. So once your run level is done, you would see your lock screen here. Right. So that is the the programs. PC RC3.d. Okay, so like that, and you even have etc. So most cases you will be defining in init.d itself. So that is your OS one. So you will be defining there, right? So with that, all your process are done. And if you are stuck any process, it will be stuck there only. So it won't proceed further if you stuck in any one of this uh, like each steps, right? So if it is stuck in grub, you need to diagnose that, and if it is stuck in kernel, it won't boot, right? So if you selected the wrong init level, it will be sorry init process. That's it. And again, same thing goes for your run level. So yeah, any doubts, guys? Lock screen or your home screen. So now we can see. So like why we saw this is, so for your one of your question, actually you need to interrupt this boot intentionally, and we need to edit the settings so that we will be booting to the emergency mode. So that one you will see later session. But yeah. So now the next thing is, you have, as I told in previous session, you must, it is a practical sessions, right? So you must be in like using either one of these options. So one is your VMware workstation, and the other one is your any one of your cloud service provider. So let's take the VMware version now and install it. So for your VMware system requirement, so what is the system requirements are? As I told yesterday, your memory should be of 4 gigs, and your CPU, you must have 2 cores. Okay. And disk, obviously, you will have at least 2 gigs, sorry, 20 gigs, right? So that is fine. Mostly, it is very small in size, and that's fine. So these are all the basic requirements. And let's say you are working in a enterprise laptop, or you can't, like, the installing this application is restricted in your case, or your system, you think your system is not capable enough. So please do, like, you can skip installing the VMware, and you can write a practice in any one of the cloud service provider. Again, it is free of cost. Okay, so you need not. So obviously, you might pay if you like didn't stop the VM. So I will show you how to do that as well. So first thing, we'll see how this local machine or this VMware installation works. So before installing, you need to change a setting. So what is that settings is, and that is very important, especially. So now that is what defines your system. So, sorry. Yeah. So now let me quickly explain you what is virtualization. So without knowing that, you can't proceed further. Why? Because virtualization is where your VMware or that VMware company tried, or they pioneered that. Okay, so yeah, so this is my base machine, so base OS Windows 11, right? So, and I have CPU of 6 cores, memory of 8 gigs, right? So on top of that, I'm installing a VMware layer or VMware software, VMware workstation 16 in my case, and this is a typical application layer or application software, anything you can take it as, right? And on top of the VMware only, you are installing a thing called as RHEL, or any version you can take, RHEL 8 or 9, it doesn't matter, but you are installing an operating system on top of operating system. So this is again an operating system, right? How this works is using this software, and what this software enables is a thing called as resource sharing. So what does that mean is, so virtual hardware, or virtually you are having these hardwares. So again, you might ask, what are all these hardwares are? Your CPU. Again, you need to define that. So how much CPU and how much memory you want, right? So that again depends on your, it's your call. So if you want a powerful VM, you can have like even a 64 gigs memory as well. So in our case, in my case, I will give only 2 gigs memory and CPU of 1 core. So that's what your resource sharing, it will be enabled, and this virtualization So yeah, uh, you're going to virtually use one of the your hardware component, or your like what, like in my case I have 6 cores. I'm going to virtually use 1 core, right? So again, the virtual world is very, very important. And yeah, so that's what your VMware like used. Or so why, again you might ask, so before VMware days, each and every operating system will be like only that operating system would be there, right? So in that case, the only you will be using this particular, like only Windows 11 can use the whole uh, like your resources, right? So that there is a waste of resource, let's say. So it won't fully utilize the 6 cores, right? So the remaining 2 core, it will be unutilized, or that's it. Like you can't utilize or you can't install another operating system, right? So that's the reason VMware tried, and VMware stepped in, and you can install multiple operating system and all your resources are much organized, you can say, or much fully utilized, right? So that's what. So this is what we are going to do. You need to install VMware Workstation. So that is also included along with the resource link. So you just type bit.ly bit.ly/linuxln. So this will open our resource link, and you can go to the first directory, ISO and VMware, and download this one. Okay, so the version doesn't matter, and if you have an older version, so the one issue is this is a paid software, by the way, right? So, but we do have the key, and this is a lifetime key. So always after installing the software, you need to activate this. Okay, and the installing steps also here. So if I uninstall and reinstall, that would take some time in my case. But this is what it is, a typical Windows installation. And same thing goes for your Mac OS as well. So in your Mac OS, it is VMware Fusion. Okay, so this is only for Mac, and the version number would differ for Mac. And again, like for Mac, it is a evolution version only, I guess. Oh yeah. So, but it is fine. You can use that. So this is the link for your Mac. So you just Google VMware Fusion, right? And VMware Workstation is for your Windows. So the installing steps are, so the first thing, you just downloaded this file, right? So once downloaded, so open, double click that, and that's it. So only install. You just press install and enter the key. So even though I gave the key here, so this key is applicable for your VMware Workstation 16. And if you are installed or if you downloaded 17, that would be a different one key. So please do reach out to me, or you can drop an email to me if you installed a older version or a new version. So the latest one is VMware 17, and it doesn't matter. Why? Because the changes are very minimal, and for us anyhow we'll be using just the operating system, right? So we won't use all the VMware feature. So, but yeah, that's the thing. So once you install and open, this is your basic dashboard or your home screen. So once you see the screen, so click on create a new virtual machine. So you have two options. So always go with the custom or this advanced option. Why? Because we need to modify all this. Like, again, we will go with the recommended one only, but still you need to modify some options. So you better go with custom. And next one. So what is this one? This is an interesting one. Why? Because so here you see here, sorry, here you see the workstation 5, or so these are all the older hardware compatibility version. So what does that mean? So you see here, it would show all the previous versions. your VMware ESXi. So that is for the hardware or bare metal server, right? So it is a operating system for your bare metal server, and your Fusion is also here, right? So you see, there is a limitation, or your hardware limitation is there in older days, or this is like 2006 or 7 VMware Workstation 5. So this is the latest one. So if you select this one, so these are all the compatible versions. So the one which we are using, and you see the hardware limitation. So you can max out till 128 gigs of RAM, right? So that is a lot, by the way. So that's what. And click on next. So you need to select your ISO. And yeah, please do select. You can select the second option as well, but yeah, better to install here. Why? Because you see here, like this operating system will use easy install. So what does easy install means? So before that, let me select software OS. And so again, I have two operating systems, and I gave you RHEL 8.4. So it doesn't matter, guys. Okay. So whatever version you have, but it should be more than RHEL 7. So RHEL 7 should not be there. It should be at least RHEL 8 or 9. It doesn't matter. Either 8, whatever version, 9, whatever. It can be even the latest one, 9.3, I guess. So the latest one. So you can select any one of the version, right? So you see here, this is 9. So we have three like options. So which one? Anyone? Anything? In my case, I have all the three. So in your case, you might have downloaded 8.4. If not, also fine. Any version, but it should be 8 or 9. So I will select 8.2. And you see this info, it is a good thing that it is having easy install. So what does that mean is, so you see here, easy install information. So you must enter a username and password, and that would be considered for your root account as well. So like I will show you that screen, by the way. So I'm just giving a username and user one, and password I'm just giving a simple one. And in my previous session, many do forget the password which they given. Obviously you can reset that later, so please note it down somewhere, or keep a simple password. Anyhow, you will be the only one using your lab, right? So you can anyhow, in our kitty session, we will be saving the password. So don't worry about that. So this password will be used for both user ID as well as the admin password. So that is what here is mentioned here. User and root accounts. Again, this is an easy install step. So we'll see what is that in later. Once it is done, we'll see that. So here you can give any name. So I'll just give rel and see. So if you have any other any other drives, you can select that. So in my case, I have only one partition. Uh, so C or D, right? So if you have more than, or if you have only C partition, so you can install in that. No other option, right? So if you have any other, like in my case, I have D, right? So I can install in this one. So I will create a lab VM a directory. Okay, sorry, it is already there. VM yes. Okay. Again, it is there. Fine. So let me select that. Then one. Next. And what is the how many processors you are going to allocate for your system? Again, it depends. So you should not give a huge number. So by default, it will select one. So that is more than enough, right? So if you have more number of cores, so in my case, I have 6. So I can select 2 at least, but I will keep it as 1. So that itself is more than enough. And the next thing is your virtual memory. So how much memory you're going to allocate to your VM. So by default, it will be selecting any one of the. So if you have 8 gigs, it will be selected 2 by default. And if you have 4 gigs, 1 will be selected. Right? So let it be the default one. If you want more memory, again, that doesn't change the huge performance. So you might think, okay, it will change a lot. So obviously no. So anyhow, we'll be using a CLI. You won't see any, like if there is any stuck in your UI also. There is no UI, by the way, right? So it is a CLI. So that's the thing. So click on next and your network connection. So this is there are two options you can select. First one is your bridged network adapter, and next one is your NAT. So I personally I use NAT, so that is fine. So you can use bridged network as well. So it doesn't matter. It will be your base OS IP or your Windows 11 IP. It will be shared and it will be getting from it. Your base OS will act as a DHCP server. Means it will provision some random IP to your VM. Okay, from the IP pool. So the next one is your IO controller. So this one you can keep it as the default one. Click on next. And your virtual disk type. So this is an important one. So you can ignore IDE. Okay, so IDE is kind of obsolete. No one uses that. And SCSI. So SCSI drive or SATA disk or your NVMe. So it again depends on your hard disk speed. So if you select NVMe and think that okay it would be a faster one, so obviously not. Again it will be running on your base disk, right? So in my case I have a SSD. So in my case it would be bit faster. So if you are running in hard disk, virtualization will be bit slow, or depends again on your hard disk speed. So if you are using a laptop for like sorry, you are installed this in a 5 or a 6 years old laptop, obviously it will be slow. So no matter what, right? So that's the thing. So you can select either one of these. So let me select the default one, NVMe uh, interface, and the next one is your default which disk or your OS disk. So if you already have a virtual disk, it is fine. But anyhow, we didn't have, right? So or we don't have. You just select the create a new, and what is the size it will ask. So now you have two options. So you need to store it as a single file and split virtual disk into multiple files. So what are all these two options are? So this is where another concept comes in, which is called as thick provisioning and thin provisioning. So easily you can understand why, because it is a pretty straightforward example, by the way, or options. So let's take the same 20 gigs. Yeah, right. So 20 gigs, and here also it is 20 gigs. So this is your thick, this is your thin provisioning. So what is the difference between these two are? So thick provisioning, if you select that and provision the whole 20 gigs, you select this one. So right away that whole 20 gigs will be created, a VM disk file. So this VM DK file, VM disk file, right? So this will be created, like a whole disk for 20 gigs will be created. Whereas in thin provisioning, depends on your usage. So first thing it will create 1 GB. Next it will create, so based on your usage. So if you use or like after installation, it will be just 100 MB or so, right? So gradually, based on your usage, it will increase, right? So and the max out is 20 gigs. Again, you can extend this disk. So, but as of now, this is the difference. Okay, so this will be as a single unit, and here it will be in an incremental way. So that is your difference. Okay, and let me select the second one, and you need to give which path you're going to save, and always save it in a single path, guys. Okay, so VM1, right? And create a disk, like a directory, disk one. I will name it as one. And yeah, so hit on save. You see here VMware Virtual Disk. So that is the extension. Hit on next, and this is a summary of what is the settings you selected. Click on finish. So once you finish, it will power on the system. That's it. So we install your local machine. So that easy install option I told, right? So I will show you that screen. So whatever options you selected there, right? The same thing you will be selecting here. But since it is a easy install enable, you need not. It will automatically fill those options. So you see this one. So this is how your it will boot each and every services. Yeah. So first boot might take some time. So please be patient. And so this is the options you need. You like you can do suspend and stop or restart your machine. Okay. So I will anyhow show you that. Yeah. So this is the option, by the way. So this screen, it will be like you can register your system or you need to partition. So all those you need to do in that screen. So since it is a easy install, we skip that. Okay. So now this might take some time. So let it be performing that. And while it is performing, you can share your screen, Olali. Okay? I hope I'm calling your name correctly. So yeah, let me make you as a panelist, and you can share your screen. So any doubts till now, guys? Please put it in the chat, or you want to unmute you want me to unmute you. So please do let me know the chat. Yeah, so you can share your screen, right? So let's see where it is stuck. Fix that. Again, don't interrupt while your server is installing. So why? Because again, you need to install and go through all these steps. So yeah, can you? Okay, yeah, perfect. Yeah, I can see your screen. Can you give me access to your screen? Okay, perfect. Yeah, you can unmute yourself if you want.
All
Okay,
right, can you hear me now?
so
All right, so this is what I downloaded.
uh-huh. Just a sec, let me control your screen.
Oh, okay.
So fine. So if you downloaded the DVD ISO, that is fine. If the size doesn't matter, okay. So if you downloaded this one, x8664, we are good. right? So that's fine. So can you locate that file 8.8 where it is?
Okay, yeah, this is it.
Okay, so yeah, it is 11.6. It is fine. Um, yeah.
But now I can't, you see when you brought out the screen, the VM, where
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I can't load it like that. Like if you download something, you have to run it. When it runs, then you can now see it on either you can now see it here under the desktop or under but I can't find it. It's not allowing me.
Okay, but you are the admin to this machine, right?
Sir?
No, you are the admin user to this server
Yeah,
or
yeah,
yeah, to this
yeah,
machine. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so you did downloaded the VMware software?
yeah. This is it here. Maybe I downloaded the wrong one.
Where it is? Can you go to
This is
that?
it. This is
No,
it.
this is the
Should I-
ISO. No, this is the ISO by the way. So this is your operating system. So what I'm telling is your VMware you need to download, right? So yeah, not this. Yeah, yeah, this one. This one you can just download and follow the steps which I told just now. And yeah, so, okay, it is very fast. Great.
You want me to
So
unload it? You want me to remove that?
no, we need to install this one only. This is an operating system for that. Okay, so we need to install or configure this with the help of VMware. So that is what. Let
Okay.
me share my screen. So that is what we. Let me quickly share mine. And the very important thing is, so this virtualization which I told, right? So it
Yeah.
won't. So this is what like with the help of this software or VMware, you are installing a RHEL 8 or any version. So without this, you can't do anything. VMware and virtualization, there are many softwares. Okay, so Windows has their own software and like yeah, that's one. And the very important one. So in order to do this virtualization, right? So you need to enable that in your BIOS screen. So first thing, so that is the first thing actually you need to do. So just go to your task manager, just right click in your taskbar and select task manager. You will end up in this screen. So just go to your performance and you can see here virtualization. So this option by default in any laptop or any PC, it will be disabled. Okay, so in order to enable this, you need to edit in your BIOS screen. So not in your VMware. So this screen, you need to edit that option. BIOS. Okay, so how to boot to the BIOS for your laptop? So for that, you just Google this one. So HP BIOS screen, or so in my case, you just give your laptop name, or like you can give any laptop vendor name, or depends on your. So what is the laptop you are using, Sonali?
It's, it's Lenovo.
Lenovo, perfect. So you just do Lenovo BIOS virtualization. So the first link will be the official one. So you can go here and you just follow these steps, by the way, right? So yeah, so you just follow the steps how to boot to the BIOS screen. Why? Because so if it is the same key, I can give it in the steps, but each laptop or each vendor Like let's say Lenovo has their own BIOS key. So in this case, it is F1. So most cases it will be F2 or F10. Okay, so that's what each vendor has their own BIOS key. So better to follow their guide, right? So, but this must be enabled, guys. So that is the important thing. So just go to your BIOS screen and enable the virtualization. So you see here Intel virtualization technology, or
Yeah.
if it is a AMD, here
Yeah.
AMD
Yeah.
VTX. So you just enable that and boot, save that settings. That is important. Just press F10 to save it, and again it will be rebooted. So yeah. So in next session we will see how to install in your AWS or GCP. So while so before next session, this is the link, by the way, for your AWS or GCP. So please do create an account in your both. Okay, so this is for your AWS and GCP. So one, I personally prefer GCP. Why? Because they are giving you $300 credit, which is around 28,000 INR, right? So you see here, get $300 in your free credit. And another good thing is you can use any one of your Gmail account. So there is no account restriction or like system that okay only one account is applicable for that. So you can use any account, and please do create an account here. So if you can use your own Gmail ID, or you can create a new one as well. It's your choice, but that's what. So the same thing goes for your Amazon ID as well. So yeah, anyhow, we'll see in next session, but please make sure you create a user ID and enable the uh, like billing account. So what are all the billing option you have? It is credit card or debit card in your AWS, but in GCP you have only credit card option. And the GCP link is cloud.google.com. Okay. So yeah, anyhow, we'll see this one in next session, but yeah, that's the one. And our operating, so the operating system is booted. So you see this lock screen, right? So once you see this, we are good. So don't make any changes, or you need not even launch or enter your password and all. So that thing you will see next session. So anyhow, we will be using a remote desktop, or sorry, remote connection only. So we will see that. So once you see the screen, so plus the suspend icon here. So that's it. So it will say the current state, and it will be like this. So right. So in next session, we will see how to do this. So, but as of now, please do create a user ID, and so right away it will ask for the billing. So again, you might ask, okay, I told it is free, and why they are asking for a billing? So that is for your verification and all. And if you are using, or if you forgot to stop your mission and it is crossing the limit for the free tier, obviously they will charge in your card. The cost will be incurred in your card. So that's the thing. Okay, so in next session you'll see this one, guys, and we'll be seeing file system as well. What is file system and all. And for the people who didn't paid for the session, so please follow the link. So that is also provided here. So you can click on this link and you can join the session. And today's session as well, so it will be uploaded in the YouTube channel, right? So yeah. So yeah, so this is my mail ID. If you're stuck somewhere, or as Olale asked, right? So like that, if you are having hard time installing VMware, so please do reach out to me in this mail ID. I'll give it in the notes as well. And this PPT also will be uploaded. So yeah. So if there is no doubts, that's it for the day, guys. Then Thanks all. Have a great day.
All right.
Let's see in
Thank you.
the next session. Yeah. Bye bye. Yeah.
Mm.